Hello and welcome
to the Heinun Couples Podcast,
where we empower blessed couples
to deepen the love, fostering mutual pleasure, connection, and joy.
So let's dive in.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Hi, welcome to the Heinun Couples Podcast.
Thank you so much for tuning in. We're so excited to have this first episode of Heinun Couples Podcast.
Yeah, so excited. I'm Sebastian.
I'm Daria. So nice to meet you.
Yeah.
And so first, we actually want to use this first episode on introducing Heinun Couples. What it is, what is our vision, and of course, introducing us a little bit, who we are, what is our story as individuals and a couple. So
Totally. Let's dive in.
Yes.
Yeah.
So who are you and what are you doing?
Okay. Well, I'm Sebastian Mahler. I am 34 years old and I live currently in the Munich area. So we are part of the Munich community. I grew up in the Berlin community, so north of Germany. And I work as a physiotherapist, self-employed with a doctor. I share a practice together. And I have an older sister. And
what are your hobbies?
Did I already say that I'm half American and half German?
Yes, you did.
I did?
Yes.
Okay. My hobbies are fishing and woodworking. I love woodworking. And also hiking in the mountains. Since we live quite close to the mountains, we're very fortunate. Yeah, that's about me. But what about you, my love?
So, hi, I'm Daria Mahler. My maiden name is Kra, if someone knows my parents. I'm 32, full Austrian. I'm offering child. I have a younger sister in my family. And I work at the moment as part-time for Sebastian as assistant, back office assistant, and doing all the invoices and so on, right?
Yeah.
And also part-time for Heinun since August, I think. Yes, that's for me. And then hobbies, I absolutely love horseback riding. I almost
She does.
I almost started doing it professionally. Hiking and traveling. Yeah. So Sebastian, so what was your experience growing up in our movement?
Well, I had a very typical Mooney life, I want to believe. My parents woke us children up. We were very young, but we woke up at 5 a.m. for Anshil. And also we went to very regular Sunday services, although they were 2 hours away from where we lived. So we lived in the middle of nowhere, of course, but Berlin was our next community. And of course, I was fortunate enough to go to at least twice a year to workshops that were done in Camberg, mostly in Germany. And they gave me a lot of course, friends, right? I got to know many BCs through that. But also I had a structure and I had these traditions I grew up with. And that gave me a lot of, I guess, security and direction for my life. And gave me a very clear life vision for wanting to have a blessed family, being blessed, all of that. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. Were there any difficulties that
stood in my life vision in the way of that? Well, I would say first and foremost, the biggest challenge I faced was my unwanted same-sex attractions, or SSA in short. That was something that I had to deal many years with, doubting if I could ever reach that life vision of having a spouse, having children on my own, and actually living a principled life that, in my understanding, is between a man and a woman, or that's at least how I wanted to live it. And that was my biggest obstacle.
Thanks for sharing that.
So Daria, what was your upbringing like?
Yeah, I actually didn't know that I was a second gen until I was about 16 years old. My parents, like a lot of Austrian families, actually distanced themselves from the movement in the mid-90s. And they went more on esoteric path in their life. And I was always searching for something. and I almost converted to Catholicism.
Catholicism.
Thank you. but I had a few questions, especially about the fall, and I asked the priest about it, and he was like, "You don't ask questions, you just believe it." And that was kind of, yeah, I couldn't deal with that, so I was like, "No, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna do that." Yeah, I was just not good enough.
So, how did you come to know that you are a second gen?
Yeah, there was a point in my parents' life where they reconnected to a movement. It didn't happen instantly. It happened gradually, and it took some time. But there were a point where they shared that the information that we're second gen with me and my sister, and that they are matched and blessed by true parents.
So, how did that feel like?
Yeah, but strange. I felt upset. I was confused because, yeah, I mean, that was like part of my identity, I guess. And so I felt somehow also betrayed and lied to, because, like, yeah, I didn't know that my parents are blessed, or how they actually really met. Their story was a bit different. But I went to a workshop afterwards in the summer, to a DP workshop, and the content was so interesting. And hearing also, for example, about the fall was really mind blowing for me, because it was like it finally made sense. It took me another 5 years to really come to a point where I said, yes, I want to really follow true parents and heavenly parent, and the life that I've created at that time, I said, this is not what I want and don't want to do anymore. And this was 2015. I went to Champion for 80 days. I joined STF for almost 5 years. And yeah, enough of me for now. I was wondering, how did you feel about starting matching with you experiencing SSA?
Yeah, well, I knew that, or at least that's what my understanding was, is that in order for me to be in a position to have any successful matching, I had to be honest to my parents about my situation with my SSA. And that's what I did a few years after STF. I did STF when I was 20 years old in 2010. And a few years after that, I told them about my struggles with unwanted same sex attractions. And I was very fortunate that my parents were very loving and also supportive in a sense, since my father asked me if I would appreciate some
Material?
material, I guess, from a therapist who deals with clients, patients who experience SSA.
Who was that?
Yeah, well, that guy was called Richard Cohen. He's a psychologist. That helped me a lot to understand my situation, and it helped me a lot to also understand where my shame came from, also understand where my needs weren't met in my early life and how this could have developed. And that brought me on a path where I was basically on a path of healing. I felt that every day that I could work on myself, and that every day felt a little bit better than the last one. And that happened through that understanding I gained. So that was all because I opened up to my parents and was honest about it. Also, yeah, I didn't feel that there was any judgment. There was only love, and there was only the support if I wanted it. And I appreciated that a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
How was that for you in the matching process? Or in how many matching processes did you have?
So I was in 3 matching processes. The first 2, I now can say that I didn't put in enough work in my, I guess, in my healing. I haven't done proper therapy sessions. I haven't gone to retreats, and I didn't understand myself enough to know how I could also express my struggles with the potential match. So those matches were, because I wasn't mature enough in that sense, they didn't work out. And again, I feel quite sorry for that. But yeah, that was just the state I was in. But anyways, a few years went past. Again, I did more work. I understood more about myself, and I had more help from other people as well. And I also got to know a lot of people in our church and our community, not Munich community, but like European community, also America, people that were involved with High Noon also, that struggled with SSA and that also wanted to see positive change in their lives. And that pretty much helped me to feel ready and to commit to another matching and blessing.
Thanks.
Yeah. So, how did it feel preparing for your matching while you have experienced your history?
Yeah, that was a bit challenging, I guess, because being so long on SDF was for me kind of a redemption somehow, or, I felt like I had to clean myself and I felt impure and kind of not good enough on, I felt like there's so many second gen and they're also pure, and I felt kind of really dirty. And then going through SDF helped me really, first of all, growing my faith and understanding and my love to parents and heavenly parent. But in my first, I had one matching process before being in the matching process with you. It took 2 years in total, like 1 year matching process, 1 year matched. It was a really good learning process, but it was also really challenging. I didn't really understand what are my values or that I deserve to actually be happy, because I felt like I had a first gen mindset that I needed to how to say, accept everything about that person. Whatever comes, you're gonna deal with that. And yeah, it felt like it was a lot of me. Yeah, it took some time. I was also in America for 3 months with Hilda Wieman, who had actually worked with Richard Cohn for quite some time. She's a generational healing coach. And she really helped me on understanding a lot of myself, about my past. It took another half year to actually really come to the point where I really felt Heavenly Parent kind of guiding me to a person where we had a sharing, and then I actually understood, oh, wait a second, I actually need to reflect a little bit more before going to the blessing for months. So I came to understand, actually, no, that this is not the right person. And he was actually then at the end also very glad that we didn't want to follow through. I was kind of in a reawakening phase of really, again, deeply connecting to Heavenly Parent, to my parents, because with my parents, the relationship was a bit challenging during this time of matching, with this first matching process. But yeah, at the end, it went out really well. So yeah, I really felt I needed to work on myself more. Yeah, being more loving, but also like towards another person, but also towards myself. And I actually deserve to be happy. That I really, really strongly felt from Heavenly Parent. And I deserve to be happy, and it's okay to end this matching.
Thanks for sharing that.
Sure. So you shared that you haven't felt ready in your previous matches. How was it different with me going into the matching process?
That's a great question. We were parents matching. So Daria and me, we never heard of each other, never knew each other. And it was our parents, of course, who first spoke on the phone. And yeah, both of us didn't really know what we got ourselves into each other in the very beginning.
You knew before, way before I did.
Okay.
Like 2 months almost.
Yeah, okay. You'll share about that later. But so how did I feel different with our matching? I felt that it was different when both of us had our first Skype, or
It was Skype.
It was Skype. What was it? Interview talk? What do you call it? It was a talk.
Our first conversation.
Yeah,
I guess that's better than an interview.
Yeah. It was a conversation. And I remember that both of us felt very good and excited, but also we had fun talking. And we were quite quickly very honest about porn and masturbation, about our struggles we had.
Yeah, but not in our first call, though.
Okay.
We didn't talk about that, though.
That was the first one? Okay.
No.
That would have been too high noon.
Yeah, no. That was way too early. I think it was like in 5 weeks or 1.5 months in.
Really?
Yes.
See. What did we talk about in the first
call?
Yeah, what was it?
I don't remember exactly, but I remember that we talked a little bit about the SSA.
Did we?
Yes.
Okay.
And because I was with Hilde Wieman, I knew about SSA. And so there was nothing new for me.
Right. So that was all after your parents interviewed me about my SSA, right?
Yeah. So my parents came to know from someone else that he has SSA. And to make a long story short, they called him, interviewed him, were very blunt on asking him, yeah, we heard you have SSA. And he was very brave on sharing what experience has been up till that time. And my parents were very impressed by that. So I was very embarrassed by my parents, but at the end it was good. And you were very brave and shared. And
I guess they did what parents do, right? They protect their children, and they wanted to know what they were getting Daria into. Yeah, I could properly reflect during that spontaneous interview with her parents. I could properly reflect on how far I've come and how honest I choose to be with them, and also at the same time, of course, with Daria, like from the very beginning. And it wasn't our first interview where we talked in depth about it, but yeah, apparently she remembers we talked about SSA in the first interview.
Call, not interview, my darling.
Call.
It was not an interview.
Yes. I didn't answer your question, did I? How was it different?
Yeah.
I guess it was different in a sense that not just only through the pressure of Daria's parents, I had to be very honest, but also it really felt like God pushed me through her parents to be very honest in our relationship. Of course, Daria would have known and I would have told her.
It felt very honest, and I didn't mind that he struggled with SSA, as long as he was working on it, or just like, no, I have SSA and period, that's it, deal with it. No, it was, yeah, no, I'm working on it. And at that time you went already to a workshop, right? Once or twice?
Yeah, there were retreats there were interreligious, I think Christian or Jewish organized, I'm not sure, but there were international retreats or workshops for men struggling with unwanted same-sex attractions. And yeah, I joined them for I think 2 or 3 years. Yeah, that was quite nice. A big growing and learning experience. That's one difference I had between the other matches. I have never truly experienced gotten to know other men that had exactly the same struggles I had, that want to become fathers and want to be married to a wife, but they just felt they couldn't. Yeah.
And I guess that was also kind of a great place where we could have honest conversation And we said for the first 3 weeks, okay, we're going to have a conversation for 3 weeks. If we feel like, yeah, it's not going to work out, then it's fine. We don't need to have an explanation why. But it was actually very quickly, it's like, oh yeah, no, it's it works very well. Me knowing already about his SSA, my parents told his parents about my past. And it was important for me that he knew that before. That kind of opened this high noon, a life without shadows, you know? And sure, like porn and masturbation came later, not in the beginning. But throughout the whole time, I felt really emotionally naked and vulnerable. And I so often ended a call crying because I was like, oh my God, I felt so vulnerable. But I really wanted to put everything in, like all in, and not to waste another 2 years. It was not a waste of time. I've learned a lot, but still, I felt like I was 27, I think. Yeah, I was 27, and I said to myself, I don't want to be 29 or 30 until I want to go to the blessing. So, if this is not going to work out, then I want to figure it out in a few months and not in 2 years. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, makes sense. So yeah, actually we got in touch with Hainun very early on in our matching process. It all started with that 24-hour challenge that was in 2020.
Yeah.
Yeah, both of us, since we were already in a matching process, we decided to, yeah, why not listen to it? Gonna be fun, gonna be good.
We joined together on the phone.
Oh yeah, and listen to
it, and I have a kind of discussion during that time. It was really nice.
We didn't watch everything. We just picked out the relevant topics for us. But I found it very inspiring that the topic of SSA was brought up, and also through getting to know some second-gen brothers and also first-gen brothers who were, I guess, involved in that topic, I was able to quite quickly co-facilitate an ascent group with SSA brothers in it. Yeah, that was my very early exposure to Hainun, which was very positive since it helped me a lot to feel that I wasn't alone in our family federation worldwide, but that there were other men struggling with this. So what was your touch point with Hainun during the matching?
Actually, I knew Hainun already a little earlier through STF. There was a workshop in Glanów in Poland. But yeah, as you said, I really got more connected through this 24-hour challenge. And I felt really inspired on joining an ascent group as a participant. I was really scared, but actually it was really nice. And there were actually a few sisters I knew already. And it was like, oh, what? They have this challenge too? I didn't believe that. And so that was really healing as well, that this openness and sharing. And I always shared with him as well how the sessions were, but how I felt. I didn't share about the other sisters. Yeah, that was a really beautiful process for me. And then I rejoined as a facilitator. I'm not sure how often, but I think in total it were 4 or 5 quarters at that time. Yeah.
And then also during our matching, Daria introduced me to a friend of hers who is a first-gen therapist. And he is also familiar with the SSA topic. And he also already supported men who struggled with unwanted same-sex attractions. And that's why she recommended him to me. And yeah, I immediately started therapy sessions with him. Difficult word, immediately.
Yeah. How was it for you?
I remember sharing the sessions with you afterwards. It was a struggle at first, but looking back, I made big leaps. And I remember you also telling me how proud you were sometimes. Yeah, I felt you were happy for me doing it.
Yeah, definitely. I was sometimes really jealous on how much progress he made. It's like, I want to have that too. I mean, I did at this time, I was doing a coaching certification program. So that was also very helpful, but it's not the same as therapy, or like really inner awareness and so on. It was sure awareness, and it was helping me and moving forward in certain things, but it's not the same as therapy. So yeah, that's just really nice. Yeah, in 2020 October we got blessed. There was very surprising. There was another blessing, and we've moved together very quickly, and been also involved in a few interviews and stuff with High Noon since then. There was a little bit of a dry phase, I'd say, with volunteer work since I started then in 21 with as I started to work as an executive assistant for a company. For 2 years, it was then really difficult for me to take on anything, because I worked full time. I worked basically for 2 people. And then I quit my job this year in March. And the purpose was, on one side, to support Sebastian in his work, because he got more patients. So to take all the administrative work, which was a lot, actually is a lot. And it also made the space actually to Andrew approach us about how new couples.
So that's enough of us.
Yeah, it took a little longer than we anticipated.
Yeah, but we're going to share, or Daria's going to share more about what actually High Noon Couples is.
Yeah, and what is our vision? And first of all, what is actually our mission statement, or our vision is to empower blessed couples to build strong, intimate bonds through heavenly sexuality, fostering mutual pleasure, love, connection, and joy, with resources that inspire deeper relationships with each other as a couple and with Heavenly Parent. One side, of course, I heard that in one of the already existing podcast episodes from couples podcast from High Noon, is one couple shared, in a relationship, like in a marriage, in a blessing, this is the only relationship where you have sex. So I was like, oh yeah, that's really true. So that is a really, really important part of a marriage. So heavenly sexuality, there where we want to emphasize the beauty and the sacredness of the sexual intimacy within the blessing, and promoting heavenly sexuality, and also this mutual pleasure that men and women have, this experience of mutual pleasure and enjoying each other. And yeah, strengthening the love and connection through that, as well as inspiration of growth through personal development, as growing as an individual, but through that growing together as a couple. Yeah, understanding to encourage couples to continuously working as an individual and creating through that a stronger bond. And of course, then the community and resources. We want to create a community for couples where they can share and learn and grow together, because I feel like I can learn a lot from other couples as well. And we are here as
mediators.
Yeah, mediators, but we are no professionals. That is very clear. We have no professionals in like any way of that we know how really good of proper communication. We kind of coaches in that way, but we are curious. We want to learn, and we really hope for you to learn with us together. And we want to create this access of a library through podcasts, and where we, on one side, we will share our stories or what we're going through and how we overcame that, but as well inviting other couples to share their story, to share how they overcame a certain situation or struggle. Also interviewing insightful and professional guests on specific topics. And of course, sharing different kind of books or audiobooks. I kind of like more audiobooks, but other courses that can support, or professionals like other couple coaches or therapists that can help either way as a couple or also the individual. In the future, we hope as well for 2025 to have retreats for couples, either in a bigger scale, small scales. And we love to invite for that also the BFD in Europe. We'll see how to do that in America, but we definitely are, depending on your support, we have created a survey where we asked about different areas of life, and we need really your feedback on what are the ways you have experienced challenges. And there's also a section where you can add your own question, which was maybe missing on the survey. So through that, we can create really the content or the podcast, or as well the resources on books or courses or professionals for that. So we really need your help, though. And yeah, it was a blast. It was longer than we anticipated, and I feel like the introduction of High Noon was like a fracture of this podcast, of this episode. But yeah, I guess we felt we want to also introduce really ourselves to you, that you understand who we are and where we're coming from. Yeah, that was also kind of the reason why we wanted to do that. We don't have an easy past, let's say, not at this, at least for me, I'm not like a, how to say, like a proper Mooney, like grew up Mooney, and then Sebastian with his SSA as well, having a very kind of different upbringing. Basti has shared about that already through High Noon, through
the
tour. Thank you. The European tour. Mm-hmm. As well as also on the podcast already before that. And also I shared before about my story, and we felt we have received so much blessing in our relationship and through a Heavenly Parent, and we really want to give back and even learn more. And because I feel like we came in our relationship to a point where actually I enjoyed having conflicts. Because I feel like, yeah, this is a great chance to learn. So I'm really curious about stories from other couples and very insightful people and professionals. Yeah, that we, as a couple, as the Mahlers, are able to grow and move forward and becoming really this radiant couple, and becoming a couple that Heavenly Parent had originally intended to. Do you want something to add? Sorry. I felt like I've talked like 5 minutes so long. It just
I feel there's nothing to add to that. What I heard from there is that there's a wish in our couple, and perhaps hopefully also in your couple, that you want to strive to live a life in High Noon, and you want to strive to become closer to resembling true parents and live a life according to Heavenly Parents' design. And we want to provide a platform and resources and everything that Daria just mentioned to bring us all a step closer to that. Yeah. And I think if we can do that and spend a little bit of energy and time in our busy days, then I think that's all we could ask for. Yeah. Yeah. So thanks Daria.
Thanks for the recap. Yeah. I could have made it much shorter.
Sure. So again, thank you guys for listening and for tuning in.
Yeah. Stay tuned for the next episode, and wish you a beautiful rest of your day, night, or whenever you listened in. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye.